Chapter 6: The Body of Your Beliefs and the Power Structures of Beliefs. Quite literally, you live in the body of your beliefs. You perceive through the body of your beliefs. Your beliefs can increase your vision or diminish it. They can increase or diminish your hearing or any sense function. If, for example, you believe that after a certain time of life hearing will fade, then so it will. You will begin to use the faculty less and less, unconsciously transfer your attention to the other senses to compensate, and rely less and less upon your ears until the functions themselves do atrophy. Functions in this particular regard are habits. You simply forget how to hear properly, following your belief. All of the minute manipulations necessary to hearing are unconsciously repressed. The actual physical deterioration then does indeed follow. The deterioration, however, does not occur first, but after. The same kind of development can occur in almost any physical category. Usually, more than one belief is involved. Parallel with the belief that vision will fail, you may also have the before-mentioned belief that hearing will dim, and these two ideas may be reinforced by the belief that age automatically makes you less of a person, turning you into an individual who can no longer relate in the daily pattern of environment. The belief, you see, would work to ensure the materialization of that state. On the other hand, you may believe that wisdom grows with age, that self-understanding brings a peace of mind not earlier known, that the keen mind is actually far better able to assess the environment, and that the physical senses are much more appreciative of all stimuli. And so those conditions will be physically met in your experience. The physical apparatus itself, following your beliefs, will continue in health. You must understand again that your ideas and thoughts do not exist as phantoms or shadow images without substance. They are electromagnetic realities. They affect your physical being, and they are automatically translated by your nervous system into the stuff of your flesh and of your experience. Your conscious mind is meant to assess and evaluate physical reality, and to help you chart your course in the corporeal universe of which you are presently part. Other portions of your being, as mentioned, rely upon you to do this. All energy at the inner self's disposal is then concentrated to bring about the results asked for by the conscious mind. Your effective power of action follows the lines of your beliefs. To believe in your own weakness is to deny yourself the power of action. To accept uncritically all beliefs that come to you is to open yourself to a barrage of conflicting data at best, in which the clear lines of action and power become blurred. Contradictory demands and assessments are then sent into the inner self, which by various methods will try to tell you that something is wrong. Beliefs of like nature attract each other, for you are bound to look for consistencies in your behavior and experience. You must learn to deal with your own beliefs directly, or you will be forced to deal with them indirectly, by reacting to them quite without knowing it in your physical experience. When you rail against an unfavorable environment or a situation or condition, basically, you are not acting independently, but almost blindly reacting. You are reacting to events that seem to happen to you, and always in response to a situation. To act in an independent manner, you must begin to initiate action that you want to occur physically by creating it in your own being. This is done by combining belief, emotion, and imagination, and forming them into a mental picture of the desired physical result. Of course, the wanted result is not yet physical, or you would not need to create it, so it does no good to say that your physical experience seems to contradict what you are trying to do. Because ideas and beliefs have this electromagnetic reality then, constant interplay between those strong contradictory beliefs can cause great power blocks, impeding the flow of inner energy outward. At times, a polarization can occur. Unassimilated beliefs, unexamined ideas, can seem to adopt a life of their own. These can effectively dominate certain areas of activity. Now, not long ago, Rupert was presented with a demonstration embodying the nature and power of beliefs. He received a phone call from a man who lived in another state. There was a request for an interview. Without knowing why, Rupert felt an impulse to see the man and set up an appointment. The visitor arrived from the airport with his wife in tow. He was a study, a living example of the effects of conflicting unexamined beliefs, a fierce and yet agonized personification of what can happen when an individual allows his conscious mind to deny its responsibilities, when an individual becomes afraid of his own consciousness. Here was a young man whose beliefs were alive with their own life while he was relatively powerless. No effort had been made to reconcile directly opposing beliefs until the personality itself was quite literally polarized. You were faced with what could be called a classic instance of secondary personality. I am discussing it here because it so beautifully illustrates the nature and power of beliefs, and the conflicts that can arise when an individual does not accept responsibility for his own thoughts. This is not a usual case, but to some extent or another, such a division occurs physically or mentally when the contents of the conscious mind are not examined. Entering, the man bristled with belligerence and hostility. Having requested help, he then hated himself for the weakness that he believed caused such a need. He glowered at our friend Rupert with great vehemency, projecting all of the energy at his command to show that he would not be cowed, and that if anyone took over the situation, he would be the one to do so. He spoke of another personality far more powerful than he, though he said he could force a room full of 150 people to follow his commands. The other personality, however, originated in another galaxy, and came as a friend to help and protect him. At his behest, he said this invisible friend killed a lawyer. The lawyer not only did not understand the condition, according to the story, but hurt the feelings of the man under discussion. We will call the man Augustus. To begin with, Augustus was brought up to believe that the inner self was dangerous, that individuals reacted because of inner conflicts over which they had little conscious control. He believed that the individual personality was relatively powerless to understand itself, and that it stood precariously alone and undefended, with a chasm of evil beneath, and with an unattainable, cold, just, but not compassionate God above. He felt bewildered in a world of opposites. Conflicting beliefs were uncritically accepted. The conscious mind will always attempt to make sense out of its beliefs, to form them into patterns and sequences. It will usually organize ideas in as rational a way as possible, and dispense with those that seem to contradict the overall system of its beliefs. Augustus had been taught to fear his own thoughts, to avoid self-examination. Beliefs or ideas that frightened him were not faced, therefore, but initially shoved into corners of the conscious mind, where they lay relatively harmlessly in the beginning. As the time went on, the number of unexamined frightening beliefs began to accumulate. Ideas and beliefs do feed upon themselves. There is within them a built-in impetus toward growth, development, and fulfillment. Over the years, two opposing systems of beliefs built up strongly, vying for Augustus's attention. He believed that he was utterly powerless as an individual, that despite all his efforts he would come to nothing, go unnoticed. He felt completely unloved. He did not feel worthy of love. At the same time, he let his conscious mind wander, and to compensate saw himself as all-powerful, contemptuous of his fellow human beings, and able to work greater vengeance upon them for their misunderstanding of him. In this line of beliefs, he was able to do anything, cure mankind's ills if he chose, or withhold such knowledge from the world to punish it. Now, all of these ideas were quite conscious, but he held each group separately. The conscious mind, again, tries to obtain overall integrity and unity, lining up its beliefs into some kind of consistent system. When opposing beliefs that directly contradict each other are held for any length of time, and little attempt is made to reconcile them, then a quote-unquote battle begins within the conscious mind itself. Since it is the beliefs of the conscious mind that regulate the involuntary bodily motions and the entire physical system, then contradictory beliefs obviously set up adverse physical reactions and imbalances. Before, Augustus's opposing beliefs lined themselves up into separate camps, so to speak. The body was in continual turmoil. Contradictory messages were constantly sent to the muscular system and the heart. The hormonal system teetered. Even his physical temperature varied rather drastically. Because like ideas do attract like, both electromagnetically and emotionally, the conscious mind found itself with two complete contradictory systems of belief and two self-images. To protect the integrity of the physical structure, Augustus's conscious mind neatly divided itself up. No longer were the minute-to-minute messages to the body scrambled. The part of Augustus who felt powerful and alien became personified. When Augustus felt threatened, then the conscious mind switched over, accepting as operating procedure the system of beliefs in which Augustus saw himself as all-powerful, secure, but as alien. This part of his beliefs, therefore, and this particular self-image took over his conscious mind and became what we will call here Augustus II. When Augustus II assumed leadership then, the physical body itself was not only strong and powerful, but capable of physical feats far surpassing those of Augustus I. Augustus II, you see, believes that his body is nearly invincible, and following this belief, the body does perform much better. Augustus II believes that he is an alien. In this case, the rationale, because there must be one, is that he is a being from another planet, in fact, from another galaxy. His purpose in this case is quite clear and simple. He is to help Augustus I to use his power on the latter's behalf, rewarding his friends and terrifying his enemies. Augustus I quite deeply believes he needs this kind of help. Now, this is a split of the conscious mind. It does not originate within the inner self. When Augustus II takes over, he is quite conscious. He simply views physical reality through an undeviating system of beliefs. The messages sent to the body are not in the least contradictory. The body is under excellent control. Augustus I's moods, of course, were a direct result of the ideas he was entertaining. It was this unceasing swing from high states of exaltation and power to low ones of powerlessness and depression that the body could not tolerate because of the vast alterations entailed. For the greater periods of time, Augustus I predominates, since his ideas of worthlessness, in your terms, were adopted earlier, and worse, are only reinforced by the contrast between him and Augustus II. Augustus II comes on sometimes for as long as a week at a time. He does all the things and says all the things that Augustus I would dearly love to do and say, with only certain safeguards. Augustus I, however, is not literally unconscious during this time, but quite aware of the quote-unquote vicarious activities and fulfillments. Again, it is a game of hide and seek, in which the so-called unconscious mind is relatively innocent. Augustus II can therefore rant and rave, lie and cheat, assert himself, show his contempt for his fellows, and absolve Augustus I of any responsibility.